So I built several like 7, 8, and maybe even 9-figure businesses now. I want to explain the most important thing that I wish I would have learned like 20 years ago that would have made all my businesses 10 times more successful. You ready to hear it? It's this. You start with the end in mind, you build a team around that, and then you simply manage the team correctly. If you just did that, if you said, I want to have this size business, this is what I want it to look like. What does the organizational chart look like for that business? And then you just build that out and you manage those people within a system with the right goals and habits and actions and accountability, you almost, I wouldn't say guarantee, but there needs to be a better English word for guarantee. You're going to achieve that size business that you want. Let me give you an example. When I built Open Door Capital, my real estate investment firm, where we, have worked with like 2,000 accredited investors, they invest with us, we buy big apartments and mobile home parks and self-storage. When I built that, I literally was like, okay, what do I want? $50 million of real estate. Okay, what would it take to get there? Well, I'd have to have somebody talking to investors because we got to raise money. I'd have to have somebody finding deals. I'd have to have somebody analyzing deals. So a salesperson, basically, I need somebody analyzing those deals. I would need a finance person to handle all the money going in and out. And I would have to have an assistant to handle my life. And I'd have to have a CEO or like a COO, somebody in charge, a boss. I don't want to be middle manager. If I had that group, could I buy $50 million of real estate? That was the theory. If I find who's the best person in the world to be in investor relations, to get investors, to talk with them, to be on the phone all day long. And then I found a dude, his name's Mike Williams. He's awesome. You can check him out. Mike Williams became my investor relations guy. And then I was like, well, who's the best finance guy in the world? I met Micah. Micah's phenomenal. And then who can do this and who can do this? And I built out this team. And then in the 3-year goal was to buy $50 million of real estate. The truth is, we did not buy $50 million of real estate in that time period. We bought $300 million of real estate in that timeline, and now we've tripled that since, almost $1 billion. Why? Because when you have a vision and you then work backwards to build a team around that vision, and then you get the right players in the team, and then you manage them correctly, and I'll talk about those in just a second, you're going to accomplish the goal and the vision that you set. In fact, you're not going to accomplish it. You're going to far, far exceed it. So what I want to do in the rest of this video is really break down each of those kind of 4 steps, setting the vision and then building the team and then managing the team to get there. And I'm missing a step there somewhere, but that's okay. And you will accomplish that goal. You'll far exceed it. So let's talk about those right now. First, setting the vision. So one of the biggest mistakes I see people make is that, and I made it for years. I mean, I was over on the Bigger Pockets podcast talking about real estate every single week with people. And I kept like kicking around, I don't really know what I want to do. And I don't really know what the right path is. I don't really know where I should be next. I don't really know what to do next. And so I just did nothing. I mean, I'd buy a flip here. I'd buy a rental here. I just do little things, but I didn't really like pick a thing because I didn't know what the right thing was. And here's a metaphor somebody explained to me that I hope will make an impact on your life. You are not an old man on the beach with a metal detector out there looking for your destiny. You're not sitting there going like, oh, I wonder if there's some gold down here somewhere. No, you are an artist at a canvas, a big white board, and you've got 100 paint colors in front of you. You can paint whatever you want. Like whatever you want to paint, you can paint. And so rather than thinking, what should I do? Or what's the right thing I should do? Why don't you start asking, what sounds amazing? What fires you up? What sounds cool? What's gonna make you wake up on a Monday morning and go, like, it's 5 a.m., I'm ready, I can't sleep anymore. I got a life to lead. I got an empire to build. Like, what's gonna make you fired up? For me, it was like, I'm gonna buy $50 million of real estate. I'm doing it. And then I just did it. One of my favorite quotes says, sometimes it's more important that you decide than what you decide. Now, why did I choose? I chose mobile home parks in the beginning. That was part of my vision. I said, I'm going to buy $50 million of mobile home parks. Why mobile home parks? Because I picked it. There's not a lot more to it than that. And people always want a more fancy answer. And I can give you 7 to 10, 12 reasons why mobile home parks are awesome. I love them. It's low income housing and you don't own the houses, you just own the land. And so I don't have to deal with toilets and all that makes sense. But at the end of the day, a lot of real estate makes sense. There's a lot of other avenues I could have gone to. The reason it works for me is because I picked it. And that's just the truth. So you pick a thing. Now, of course, I'm not going to pick some random thing that I don't care about or that I have no interest in or that isn't actually mathematically going to work. It still has to functionally work. But I think people are always trying to find the best solution in the world. Sometimes you just got to make a decision and go with it. It's more important that you decide than what you decide. So I said, okay, I'm going to buy $50 million of real estate, specifically mobile home parks. Where'd the $50 million come from? Actually, true story. After I kind of plotted out the team, I think I had another number there. I think I had like 20 million originally, but then I plotted out the team and I was like, oh, I need 6 people. What does it cost for 6 full-time employees? Well, for 6 full-time employees, it's going to cost me $500,000 a year. Okay, well, To get $500,000 a year over 3 years, that's like $1.5 million. Well, how am I going to get $1.5 million? I would have to buy roughly $50 million of real estate. That was the number. I'm like, okay, I guess that's what I got to do. So if I can buy $50 million of real estate, I would have enough money from acquisition fees. This is part of the money that comes in when you buy a property. I would have enough money to keep the lights on. And that's where that number came from. And so it's kind of like the chicken and the egg a little bit, right? The goal kind of set the team, and then the cost of the team kind of made me reevaluate the goal. But then I got it. Now I have a vision, $50 million, mobile home parks in 3 years, and I'm going for it. So then I read this book called Vivid Vision by a guy named Cameron Herold. And it's like, lay out your vision in some kind of like fun to consume format. Like not just like a goal, like $50 million of real estate in 3 years, but a vision. Like I did a newspaper article I wrote 3 years in the future. So it started with, December 31st, 2021. Is that what it says there? Holy cow. Yeah, it's right there. It's like, Open Door Capital is an investment firm unlike any you've ever seen. Instead of suits and ties, you got board shorts and flip-flops. I wrote down this whole article like the New York Times had written an article about me. And at the time, we didn't have ChatGPT. Here's a little tip for you. You can actually just like write up the main points you want into ChatGPT and ask it to write you an article in the future. And like you can just have ChatGPT help you format this vivid vision. So at the end, I had this large vision. I show it to my buddy Ryan. And the first thing Ryan says is, I want to be a part of that. Because here's the truth. Like people can't see what's in your head. You might be excited about your business, about where you're going. You might have the vision, but until you put it into a format that other people can understand and get excited about, it's just you by yourself. So you got that vision. I showed it to my buddy. He's like, let's partner up. Let's do it together. And we did. We started building it. Now we've got the vision. I've got the organizational chart. I have the team. What does a team look like to be able to build that? And then I went and started finding those people. Now that is a whole book or YouTube series in itself. How do you find the right people? Now, in the beginning, I had no money to be able to hire those people. I mean, I had some money, but not enough to hire $500,000 a year, right? And we didn't have the deals yet to make money. So how could I hire those people? Well, in the beginning, I offered equity. Actually, like Ryan, one of my partners, was basically the CEO or COO at the beginning. I just offered him equity. So he owned part of the deal. I didn't pay him anything. I brought in some interns to help with other pieces, and I offered them pieces of the deal should they find something or analyze something. And I piecemealed it. I didn't spend a single dollar on employees until after we were profitable making money. And then I shifted people from equity and favors and internships over to actually making money. The truth is, if you really want something, you'll find a way. If not, you will find an excuse. So I really wanted it because I had a very clear vision of where I was headed. I had an organizational chart that was going to get me there. Now I had to fill out the org chart. So between interns, in fact, here's a true story. At one point, I had this great idea. It was a terrible idea, but I thought it was a great idea. And I said, what if I had 10 interns out there finding deals and another 10 interns out there analyzing deals and underwriting them and you can pay? And what if I just set them all loose and the deal finders would just go out there and scour the entire world for deals. And then when they'd find leads, they'd get them to the underwriters. The underwriters would analyze them. And then whoever ended up getting a deal, the two people who found the deal and analyzed it, they would each get a piece of the deal as partners. I mean, it's a cool idea, right? But the problem is it just didn't work. There's too many cooks in the kitchen, too many people stepping on each other's toes, whatever. Was that a failure? Well, out of the 10 interns I had finding deals, one of them was like, hey, this is a mess. Let's get everyone together and start organizing so we're not stepping on each other's toes. Let's help each other. And he started mentoring the other 9 people in the group. That man was Mr. Mike Williams. I mentioned him earlier. He's now the VP of Investor Relations at Open Door Capital. So I found a way to work with him before I worked with him. And I saw his character, I saw his work ethic, and I brought him in. On the other side, the underwriters, one of those guys was like, your underwriting model sucks. I'm going to rebuild the whole thing for you. And then he started training the other underwriters on how to be better and how to do it better and how to analyze deals better. That man is Walker Meadows. He became my lead underwriter, who became head of acquisitions, and today is the chief operating officer of Open Door Capital. So from intern, they're both two of my executives now. In fact, most of the people in all my companies across my portfolios, most people have come from either some sort of internship, some sort of lower level job where they were like an entry level job, or they proved themselves in some other way. Because I need to be able to work with people before I work with people. So I started building out this organizational chart. Now, looking back 5 years later from when I started this thing, it might sound clean and nice. It wasn't. We made a lot of mistakes. I brought people in that maybe weren't the right people. I offered too much equity in some cases. You learn along the way. But at the end of the day, we ended up building out a core executive team. I got all 6 of those people I wanted. We built it out. That 6 has now grown to over 100 today. And we've got, again, almost $1 billion worth of real estate. And we're not slowing down. We're still going because we built out this organizational chart. Now, by building that finding those people and getting them, that's only half the battle. Now you have to manage them correctly. But here's the thing. I don't like management. I really don't like management. I hate the idea of holding people accountable and be like, hey, you said you were going to analyze that deal today and you didn't. It's like, Office Space comes to mind. Like, hey, Peter, like that whole thing, it drives me nuts. And so what I've learned over the last few years, and I wish I would have learned earlier, is that employees have to be managed. You can manage them or a system can manage them. What do you want? Do you want to manage yourself or do you want to have a system manage them? And so when I say a system, I mean how does everything get done? How do you set goals? What are your processes? What do your checklists look like? How do you meet? When do you meet? What do you say in a meeting? Now at Open Door Capital, we tried a few different systems. We tried to see what would work, but then we implemented something called EOS. If you're not familiar with it, it was made popular by a book called Traction from Gino Wickman. Great book. It's literally called the Entrepreneurial Operating System, EOS. It's an operating system, just like a Mac OS X or whatever runs your Mac or Windows runs your PC. Those are operating systems. This is an operating system on your business. When you meet, how you meet, when do you set goals, how do you set goals, how do you align everyone together with their goals so everyone knows what everyone's doing and everyone feels like they're actually contributing. And then I didn't have to manage anymore. In fact, my workload went from 30 hours a week down to 5. Where I had several key meetings that were put out there by this EOS system, and things actually got done. It was phenomenal. And all of a sudden we started growing because now we had the right vision, we had the right team, and we had the right management to get it all accomplished. Now, to keep growing, of course, we've had a million problems. We've had a million things we had to overcome. We didn't have enough deals for a while, so we had to figure out how to get better deal flow. We didn't have enough money. We had to figure out how to raise more money. We didn't have a lot of things. Things just come up, and that's part of business. But when you have the right team around you, and now you have the right goals, that if we hit the goals, we can pay for the team, the business just begins to grow. The business just begins to scale. And that's how we were able to build it. So when I built the Better Life Tribe, which is it's not a nonprofit technically yet because we're still working through the paperwork, but we donate 100% of profits to charity. When I built the Better Life Tribe, it's an accountability mastermind that really utilizes a lot of the EOS principles and other operating system principles, kind of a new version to help you grow your real estate business or your personal life, your health, your fitness, whatever. It's just a series of goals and habits and actions with some accountability added in for your life. We built that thing same way. What do we want to do? I want to give away $50 million a year to fight human trafficking. That's what I want to do. Well, what would that take? It would take 10,000 people paying $500 a month, roughly, and then running on 80% margins. Okay, what does it take to be able to get 10,000 people into this group paying $500 a month? Well, we're going to need to provide some value. So now we worked backwards, and now we know what the tribe kind of looks like. Now we've pivoted, we've changed, we've learned, but the goal is still the same. I want $50 million a year. We've got the vision. I've got a vivid vision written for that one. Now we have a team that wants to get there, and we built out the team. Now, is there risk in doing this? Of course there's risk in doing this, right? What if we don't hit our goals? What if we can't hit it? But you know what's a bigger risk? Doing nothing. And so, just like Open Door Capital, Better Life, I didn't spend any money until we made money. In fact, I launched with a webinar before we had any salaries. I launched with a webinar in which we had, 700 people sign up, paid people sign up. And all that money that came in funded me to hire 13 people the first year. So now we have full-time people across all those things. Now, of course, we have to go and execute now, and those 13 people have to make this company $50 million a year profitable. But we will, and we are. That's how I build a business. So to sum up everything I said here today, if you have your vision of where you want to get to, and you build the right team along the way, and you manage that team effectively, and you get everybody marching in the same direction, you're going to achieve the goals. So I don't care if you're trying to build a real estate business, trying to build a ice cream shop, if you're trying to just scale your realtor business, I don't care. Follow that framework, and you're going to achieve incredible, incredible heights. If you like this video, click that little thumbs up button, subscribe for more. I love you. Have a good day.